All right. Welcome everybody to a lunchtime chat. Sam, how you doing, man?
Doing well. Haven't had lunch yet, so lunchtime will
No,
be after. But
nor have I. This is my lunch break from work, so I'm in between. I was on the road this morning and I got office stuff to do this afternoon, but this is important. So you and I are sitting down to chat about the huge news that broke yesterday. Wow.
early
I
this
mean,
morning,
it leaked a few days ago, but you and I are both thrilled that Oasis is getting back together.
we are thrilled. Yeah, I know we've been talking the last couple of days off camera, and yeah, I mean, even dating back about a year ago with different interviews, like they've both kind of been saying, like, like if Noel calls me, then we'll do it, or if Liam calls me, we'll do it. Like his people talk to my people, like there's like whatever.
Yeah.
Like if it happens, great. And not acting like they're going to get mega rich from doing anything. Like what's money?
Well, it's funny because over the last, I don't know, 3-4 years, their tones have been softening. Because, 8 years ago, they hated each other guts, or at least publicly. And even up till about 3-4 years ago, Noel would be morning music sanctuary. How you doing? Thanks for joining us. Noel would be like, hey, he's got to call me, but he won't because he won't stand being in the same room. Look, he was here, concert buddy. How you doing, man? And Noel and Liam was always, Liam's the bigger dick of the two, I think. But gradually over the last couple of years, I think their tones have softened up.
Yeah,
and by all accounts, I guess this got ironed out about 7 or 8 weeks ago. Apparently, that they finally signed the deal. And I mean, there's lots of speculation out there online about what this entails and what's involved. But bottom line is what I've heard is 55 million pounds.
Yeah, at least for the first leg. I don't even know what kind of contract they signed.
Who knows? I don't know about you, but I'd do quite a few things for 55 million pounds.
Yeah, I would do a lot.
I
would do a lot. No, and the speculation again the last few days is certain venues have been they've booked dates, especially like Wembley has been the big talk for 10 dates, supposedly to beat out Taylor Swift's 8 dates that she had.
Right.
But right now they've only got 4 posted for Wembley.
Yeah.
So again, we don't know. It could be 4 now. It could be 4 later in the year. But no, I mean the tour this morning. What fascinated me was that Manchester was not the first date. That it was up in Wales, right? I think it was the first 2 dates because it's back-to-back nights, July 4th and 5th, I think next year.
Yeah.
So the big thing now is tickets go on sale Saturday, European time, whichever part of the country they're in. So for those of us in America that want to get dates, you got to set your alarms early in the morning to hop on. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say because, again, like you said, the speculation is out there. Where are they going to be? What's already been booked? There's been no talk about who the band is officially. I know you've heard some things.
So you and I have been kind of arguing about this last night. So again, there's nothing confirmed, but the rumor that I read in a couple different sources is that it's not actually Oasis. It's Liam and Noel backed by the High Flying Birds. So is that Oasis? I have an opinion.
Yeah.
You think it's good enough because I won't speak for you. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, I guess to back up, I mean, obviously, when Liam left, when Noel left Oasis, because he left and then Oasis was done. And so then it pretty much became BDI after that, Liam's project for 2 records. And, it was mixed reviews on BDI because obviously the hype was it was like a sadness, right? It was kind of like, I guess, like when McCartney did McCartney 1. Right. It was like, this is good, but where's John, Paul, George, and Ringo? Where aren't they all together? For BDI, where's Noel? It's all these other guys we've seen on tour, minus Noel, the songwriter. So with that in mind, I mean, you've had guys that have gone on to the High Flying Birds that are Oasis alumni. You obviously have Bonehead, who's been with Liam now the past 6 years or so on his last few solo records and tours. I think he originally, when he started playing the Liam songs, the Liam gigs, he was just coming out like as a special guest for the Oasis tunes. But now it's like he's almost like their permanent rhythm guitarist.
Yeah.
And so like, for me, I would be shocked if he doesn't show up unless there is underlying feud with him and Noel that they're just like, if Noel's like, Liam, I'll do it with you, but I can't do it with any of the other guys because it'll be too much.
I would find it surprising if Liam agreed to do it with Noel's band. You know what I mean? Because that, you know, Liam's got a bit of an ego too. I would be fine. And listen, Oasis is predominantly Noel and Liam. They've had a revolving cast of characters throughout the years. There's been multiple lineups of the band. I mean, in an ideal world, I would love to see Bonehead and Guigsy join them. Would be, you know, ideal. Who knows? But if you can't, I don't know that I'd want to see Liam guesting with the High Flying Birds. I'd rather see Liam and Noel put together a band that's not the High Flying Birds. I'm all right, you calling that Oasis. But if it's High Flying Birds with Liam, to me, that's not really an Oasis reunion. So, you know.
Which is kind of what happened. I was going to say, it's kind of what happened, again, to use another one of our favorites. You know, the Beach Boys, when they did their 50th, they had a lot of Mike Love's guys and the touring Beach Boys. Yep. And then they had a lot of Brian's guys, you know, from the Wondermints. So, like, you had Darian Sahanaja, Jeffrey Foskett, Paul Van Mertens, but then you also had, you know, I think one of the Cowsills might have been in that band. It's like a double.
Yeah, John, the drummer.
John was in the 50th tour.
I know his nephew quite well, actually.
That's right. Yeah. And then I can't remember Mike's lead guitarist, like his musical director. He's like that tall, skinny guy.
Yeah.
And then obviously you had the surviving Beach Boys. And so that was cool because like Brian's guys play those songs note for note. Mike's guys, for whatever you want to say, know those songs and play them note for note. So to combine those two, it wasn't like, here's the touring Beach Boys and let's throw Brian Wilson at a piano.
Right. Exactly.
So I get what you're saying. I get that totally. Because yeah, I mean, it would be like, I don't even know. It would be like any of these classic bands that, you know, pull in an original guy with the touring group, and it's like, oh, there they are. I don't know. I mean, like, obviously, like, it wouldn't affect ticket prices depending on, you know, like, oh, riding Bonehead, let's jump up another 50 pounds on these ticket prices. People are there to see the two Gallagher brothers on either side of the stage. They want to see Liam with his tambourine. They want to see Noel sing "Don't Look Back in Anger" with Liam standing on stage with him.
I don't want to sound ungrateful if it's coming off that way. I certainly don't mean it. I mean, I'm thrilled. Other than the Beatles, Oasis are the most important band to me, especially when I was a teenager. So I'm thrilled that they're back together. Who knows what kind of shape or form that will take, but I'm thrilled. And I'm thrilled that it's not a one-off. I'm thrilled that it's, you know, 10 dates or whatever. And there's rumors, as Chance is pointing out here, that, and how could it not, right? I mean, if it goes well, why wouldn't they do a North American leg, right? And New York, LA, Chicago, Toronto, Mexico City, and Boston. The rumored date for me anyway for Toronto is August the 24th. I've heard allegedly the venue is Downsview Park, which I'm less than thrilled about, to be quite honest. It's an old airfield in the middle of the city. It's where we had a concert years ago called Sarstock, which was like the Canadian Woodstock, because 15 years ago, Toronto got hit by something called the SARS virus, and it killed a whole bunch of people. And they did a benefit concert, Rolling Stones, AC/DC, a whole bunch of others, and it was 500,000 people, crazy. So they're talking about that's where they want to have it. I mean, I'll go. I hate the venue. It's, you know, an airfield in the middle of the city. It's a pain in the ass to get to. I'm not a big outdoor festival fan, but for these guys, I would go. None of these are near you, though, Sam. I mean, Boston, I guess, is probably the closest for you. Or are you gonna try for England? Because you and I were talking about that.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say because again, I don't know what tickets are going to be, and
Yeah.
obviously, if you look for England, then you start going to playing the game. Like I'm there. Do I do 2 gigs because I'm there? Do I do one in Wales and then depending if they're within the same week, like try to go to Wembley or try to go to Manchester. But hey, Rob.
Hold on, I'm going to interject right here. Rob, since you're the resident from Manchester, we would love if you'd join us. I'll happily throw a link up here. If you wanted to join us, that would be awesome to get the local perspective. So
Yeah.
let me throw the link up here. Sorry, continue on, Sam.
No, but it's interesting because I am thinking about England. Again, it would be a year in advance for planning. So it's not like oh, they're going to be there in October or,
Right.
the end of this year. So like there's a lot of planning. I'd have to renew my passport. I'd need to do like the hotels, all the stuff you have to do for international flying. Sure. And I haven't done that. And by that point, it'll be 9 years since I've done it.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so I am looking because again, there's the temperature. Somebody mentioned looking at that photo shoot. Do you go to the England gig thinking like they're not going to make it through those gigs? Are they like they have to obviously by the time that they do their first gig, will have had hours and hours and hours of rehearsal time.
Sure.
Probably that's when it's the most strenuous, I would assume. I do know that because I've played in bands. I've got band practice tonight. And practice is the time when like the temperature is a little hot because you want to play in this key, you want to play this chord, somebody screws up, whatever it might be. So to go to England and see one of those gigs is like the guaranteed slot.
Sure. Well, it sort of taps in something I was thinking about. This is a year from now, and I know there's contracts signed or whatever, so they'll go through with it. But I mean, I wonder how mended their relationship is because it's been volatile for the last 30 years and explosive at points. Who's to say something's not going to set one of them off between now and next August?
Yeah, it could be anything. And I know that they're both close with their mom. But they've kind of made this deal, kind of like Godfather 2, like they don't see the mother while they're still alive, like Fredo and Michael Corleone.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, I need to bring up, I know we talked about this too. Liam just finished up the 30th anniversary, definitely maybe tour all over the UK, sold out shows.
Yep.
They're still just as big, if not bigger. Teenagers are loving Oasis over in the UK now. And when Liam finished the gig at the Reading Festival,
yep,
that's when the first sign of the font, the 827 or 27/8/24 showed up. And everybody in the crowd, like it wasn't even like a huge scream. It was just like people were like, "What? Like what?" Like they were like they didn't know because an Oasis reunion. It's like one of those fantasy things. Like what if the Beatles would have stayed together? Will the Kinks get together? Whatever it is. It's just kind of like it would be cool if it happened, but we know it's not going to happen. But to see that date again, your first thought is, "Oh, is it going to be a Morning Glory 30th anniversary that they're announcing early," which wouldn't make sense because Definitely Maybe is coming out Friday, right? This week. They're the 30th of that with the bonus cuts. So, like, what do you think? Like, if you were in that crowd and he just finished off that, and then you saw that font, like, what would you be thinking?
I would have went, "Oh my God, is that a reunion announcement?" And then a minute later went, "No, because that's never going to happen."
Yeah.
And that was my initial thought when I saw it on Noel's social media, like a minute after he posted it. I went, "What?"
Mm-hmm.
So then I went over to Liam's and it was there. And then went over and I'm like, "Holy smokes." And then I Googled Oasis and I saw that Liam had tweeted right after that something about, "I have never liked the term former." That's when I took a couple screenshots and I texted you and went, "Sam,
yeah.
I think this is something."
Yeah. And then somebody commented, like, "Is this a reunion?" He said something like, "See you down the front."
Right.
And, like, again, like, I mean, I was telling you, like, when you look at like Setlist FM to see the set list, he dedicated the song "Half the World Away," which was the big Noel song. It's one of your favorite Oasis tunes, right?
My favorite for sure.
Your favorite. And he dedicated it to the world's greatest songwriter, which is his brother.
Right. And normally that's not the way those two interact. Normally they're insulting each other or whatever. And I'd read or saw a video or something 3 or 4 weeks ago where Liam or Noel was talking about a certain song, and he goes, I recorded the demo. He goes, but then when Liam sang it, he goes, he just took it to another level. And I'm like, wait a minute, you just paid your brother a compliment. Like, that's not something we've heard before.
Yeah, because he's bashed his voice for years. Like, he's whiny, he's nails on a chalkboard.
And for a while, his voice did kind of suck.
The BDI years,
he went super nasally, and but he seems to be back to his. I think when he came out with "Why Me, Why Not," I found with that album, it's like that sounded like Liam from years ago.
That's when Bonehead started showing up.
Right.
Yeah.
He was on the Unplugged as well, which was incredible.
Yeah. I mean,
the rumors are that they might headline Glastonbury. How could they not now, right? I mean, Glastonbury, I think, is the biggest festival in England and biggest band in England. I mean, at this point, can you have Glastonbury and not have Oasis close the show?
Yeah, because Liam was just there a couple of years ago and got a huge applaud. And we both agree. I mean, Liam has been like on this creative high, albeit he's not writing songs, but what he did, "Why Me, Why Not," was the first one was just called Liam Gallagher, wasn't it? Hey Morton. Yeah. And then he had "Come On, You Know." He had the Unplugged, the River Thames live shows. Yep. He did the John Squire album earlier this year from Stone Roses, which that would be a killer opener if they decided to go with an opener.
Oh, man.
He's buddy with John Squire now. So he could do something. I know Noel has recently played with Damon Albarn a couple of times. So, I mean, they've made amends with some big people of the Britpop years.
Look who's here. Alex, if you want to join us, man, let me know. I know it says you're in the office. I'm in the office too. I'm on my lunch break as well. So,
me too, Alex.
Don't tell my boss. I'm only here for an hour. Council Skies was decent. I thought it was a little bit of decent is the best way to describe it. It wasn't as good as what I had hoped, but it was certainly better than the previous album. So,
but that's the thing. I mean, the photo that was put out and of the two brothers was that was a new photo of them in the same.
I guess they about 3 or 4 weeks ago they did a photo shoot. So
okay, because I mean, it's hard to say because they said they haven't been in the same room since 2009.
Yeah, I'm gonna take this somewhere we shouldn't take this, but can you imagine this goes well and we get a North American leg? And it goes well. Can you imagine if they decide to step in the studio again? Oh man, that's too much to ask. But I keep thinking, what if?
It's too much. It's a lot. And what they could do, even like if they wanted to lower tensions, they could even do it at separate studios. Noel could record all the guitar parts and backing or whatever.
Sure.
Liam could go in there, sing the songs, get the demos, and they don't have to be in the same studio ever. And then again, they would make a ton of money. But I mean, like the big money. Obviously, the big money is going to be these tours, these shows. Because honestly, they could probably set up a home base at Wembley for 20 nights, and people would fly. It would be like a pilgrimage for people.
So we got to talk about this comment for a minute. Rob says he thinks Blur will be supporting them. I mean, from a 90s nostalgia standpoint, can you imagine Blur opening for Oasis? Like that's mind-blowing. But I also love that because, that was always the Brit pop rivalry. And I think of Blur as a pop band. I think of Oasis as a rock band. But the Brit pop rivalry, Blur and Oasis, that obviously was a huge thing back in the 90s. It would be great if Blur was the supporting act for Oasis because what that says is Oasis is the bigger band.
That would be big. And Damon has a little bit of an ego himself.
Right?
But again, they've been hanging out with, Noel and, they've done a couple things together. And Blur just put out that new album. And didn't they say that was going to be it? Like, didn't Damon pretty much say that was the last Blur album?
Yeah.
because he's fully focused on the Gorillas.
I'd like to hear more about this. Apparently, Noel already has an Oasis-like rock album already written. Can you imagine? Holy shit.
Yeah, because, I mean, again, we can talk for a second about Noel's solo stuff, because we kind of mentioned Liam. Like, Noel's kind of like gone down the softer side of things, a little bit more electronic, digital type music. I mean, he's still, his live shows, the clips I've seen are still pretty solid.
Yeah.
And I think he's always a better live guy than he is studio, just like Oasis.
I liked his first two, which was the High Flying Birds, and then it was Chasing Yesterday or something, I think was the second one. And then the third one, I think was like Who Built the Moon, I think. Yeah. I lost it on that one. I don't have it because it was a little too electronic-y for me. And they came back with Council Skies, and to me it's a little it's better, but it just it's kind of the monotonous gray that is on the front cover. That is kind of how that album feels to me.
And we were both kind of excited for the latest. Like, we heard the singles. We were like, "Ooh, this could be
right,
a step back in a good way."
Right, but
it wasn't.
No.
It was just a couple of good singles.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. There's an exciting world of possibilities, and all of this is putting the cart way before the horse. This is assuming that they can even get along enough to finish the 10 or 14 shows that they have in the UK, and then who knows where it goes from there. But
yeah,
God,
yeah, I mean, it could be a bunch of different things. I mean, if it's in, if they're coming to Toronto, obviously that would be a reason for me to go up to Toronto as well and see that show.
Yeah,
that way I can, meet you, Glenn, a bunch of the guys up there, kind of make it a two birds with one stone situation. But also, like, do I go to a couple shows? Because we don't know how long this is going to last. Like, do you go if they're in Toronto for 2 or 3 nights? Do you go to 2 shows?
Depends how expensive they are. Depends what the demand is. Well, and here's the thing that I think about now is the demand for tickets, right?
Imagine like the Springsteen shows that happened, that debauchery that happened.
Well, I look at it like this, and I mean, I guess you and I have a slightly skewed perspective because we're such huge Oasis fans, but I don't think you can argue that this reunion is one of the biggest musical stories of a long time.
Yeah.
I say my lifetime because for me that they're such an important band, but it's a big deal. It's a thing that no one thought would ever happen. And you look in areas, and I'll use Toronto as an example because I'm here. There's going to be one show if it happens potentially.
Mm-hmm.
So you go, how hard is it going to be to get tickets for that one, that one show? Or there's one show potentially in New York City. I mean, I think back to, I only bring this up because in terms of scale, it's relevant. You think of the fiasco for people trying to get tickets for the Taylor Swift Eras tour, right? She did 6 shows, or she's doing 6 shows in Toronto. It's this fall. And our stadium holds 45,000 people. 6 shows, there's, for argument's sake, there's 350,000 seats available over the course of her stay in Toronto. And you had to register for the sale or whatever. 30 million people registered to get tickets for those shows.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's going to be that big, but I mean, there's the demand is going to be 10 times what the available tickets are. So who knows if you can even get tickets. And if you can get tickets, how bloody expensive are they going to be? They're not going to be $150. They're going to be whatever they want to charge.
Maybe for nosebleeds at a football stadium. Because, I mean, in New York, are they going to play MSG in Madison Square, or are they going to play like at the the Meadowlands, or are they going to play one of these NFL stadiums? Because, I mean, they're playing Wembley. Obviously, that's much bigger than a football stadium.
Sure.
Because it's a football stadium. So, and that's another one of those worries is that for me, when I look at tickets, going into Saturday, do I buy a show do I go to a show where there's, multiple nights booked? Because like the demand in theory is going to be smaller.
Right.
It's going to be huge, but it's going to be smaller.
Right.
Or do I risk it and wait for them to come to the U.S. and pick one night in, L.A. or, New York, wherever it is?
The real question in North America, will they fill a football stadium? Oh, I think so.
I think they would, but they couldn't continue that. Like if
No.
this is like the beginning of like another like 20-year stint for them as a band, no,
Right.
they'll drop. I mean, even like, you know, some of these guys, I mean, obviously like guys like the Stones who are, legacy bands at this point, they can still fill, football stadiums. McCartney, no matter how bad you think they sound, they
Right.
can still do it. Elton John, he can still do it.
Right.
But there are the superstars, the big guys that are out there, like even like again, to use one of my guys, Tom Petty. I don't think if Tom Petty was still touring, he could be filling out soccer stadiums, or he could be
Right.
filling out, Giant Stadium every year.
Right.
But that's I think Oasis would fall in that trap where they could do arenas, they could play 21,000 seaters easy.
Right.
But
I think you're right. For this, if they come to North America, which financially, I don't know why you wouldn't, but if they do, they'll sell out a handful of football stadiums this time around. But if they come back, it's going to be arenas or baseball stadiums,
festivals. Yeah.
which is fine. Whatever. We'll take whatever we can get.
Now, here's the question: do we want them to do that? Do we want them to go 20 years after this?
Well, and so that raises another question that I've been thinking about. So, do we? I think here's a pretty close analogy. Take a look at the Eagles. They broke up for 14 years, and Henley and Fry are both fucking douchebags. But they said, hell will freeze over before it happens. Well, hell froze over, and they got back together, and they recorded Hell Freezes Over, which is a quasi-live, quasi-studio album, and it's okay. And then they did another album, Long Run Out of Eden, which is a bloated affair. But then they and to this day, they're still touring the as a legacy act, really, right? So do we want Oasis to be a legacy act, or do we want them to put out new stuff? And do they still have the ability to write stuff on par with what they wrote back then?
Or will they go? I mean, our boy John is in the comments. Like Billy Joel, who hasn't done an album in over 30 years now, is still filling out Madison Square Garden. I know he just finished up his run or playing Wrigley Field wherever he's playing. They won't hold that staying power. And again, because they're, for all intents and purposes, a 2-man act. So like once one of the brothers is either unwell to do it anymore or leaves, it's no longer Oasis. Whereas the Eagles, obviously, we only have Don Henley left as the original guy, and then mainstays Joe Walsh and Timothy Schmidt, and then the other ringers that they bring in, from time to time.
Right.
And they can still, fill the Sphere at Las Vegas or, do whatever and pay top dollar. But with Oasis, once one of the brothers is done, they're done. That's not Oasis anymore. Even if it's the same guys in the band, like BDI, it's not Oasis.
Right. That you bring up an interesting prospect. Oasis at the Sphere. Oh man, I would go to that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, you could call that a work trip.
Holy man, I would. That would just. Now we're fantasizing at this point in time, but
yeah.
What's Constantly saying? I bet they will try to book MetLife, SoFi, Soldier Field, Gillette Stadium. I'm not sure they could get 80,000 in each. I don't know. For the first leg, maybe they could. I don't know.
Yeah, they might be able to fill like Mile High Stadium in Denver. I mean, those big city, locations. But no, I mean, Alex has made a couple of good points because again, they're so much larger in the UK.
Sure.
And still, I mean, even still, like Liam and Noel rarely come over here.
Right.
They'll do a festival. They might hang out in California. But they're not doing a American or North American tour. They're just not, because people are like, Liam Gallagher. He's that guy from that one-hit wonder band, Wonderwall.
Wonderwall. Fair. I mean, when Liam came to town last time, when Noel came to town last year, he played a I don't know 5,000 seat performing arts theater in Toronto. I can't remember which one it was, but it wasn't anything spectacular. I think he's played the Molson Amphitheater as well, which is like 10,000 people. But that's just him solo. But I don't know. I don't. Who knows?
And again, there's Alex with a good point too. Yeah, I mean they're not. You mean they are legendary in their own right, but they did not make the impact that the Stones, Elton John, Bob.
Well, no, of course not. But the Stones have also been around for
60-something years,
right?
Yeah,
Oasis was around for 15. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. What's more insane here? Wouldn't you say Oasis are bigger in Canada than the U.S.? Yeah, I would. Maybe that's due in part to our British heritage. I don't know. But they were huge here. And I remember the last time they played here, they played a place called Molson Park, which no longer exists. But it was, again, an outdoor venue, a couple 100,000 people. And it was nuts. And I can't remember why I wasn't able to go. But I'll get them next time, and then there never was a next time. So
yeah.
Alex is saying, what's the story? Went 4 times platinum here, which is no joke. Then again, if they only play a few shows, people will undoubtedly travel. There's a Jason Arsenault out there for everyone. Jason who? We don't remember who that guy is. I wish he'd
stranded up in BC. Yeah,
I wish he'd join us more often. Yeah, I think the key to it being huge is less dates, I guess. So then that raises a question. Would you rather them have less dates and you're fighting for tickets at a football stadium, or would you rather them have more dates and you have easier access to go see them at an arena, like a hockey arena, like a Madison Square Gardens or a whatever?
I mean, obviously more dates for me because, traveling is no joke. But then again, if they did that, then I would have a bigger shot on maybe seeing them in D.C. or Nashville, or any of these big places where the Taylor Swifts of the world play. But then again, you raise the question like, well, then that's, extra shows that the brothers have to be in the same space. And do you want that strain on a first tour in 15 years? Because I don't. So this needs to be a softball to maybe have them open up another conversation. But, I'll say softball, but they already have 10 shows in the UK, so that's huge in its own right.
Yeah, I think it's probably a let's do these 10 and see how it goes kind of thing.
Yeah,
we probably won't hear anything about North America for another year, maybe.
And they can stay home. They're in the UK. They don't have to be gone more than a week at a time,
right? Because they have families and kids, and Yeah,
because
their kids are a little bit older, but
Noel's 56,
57.
57. Shoo, and Liam's 51.
51. Chris, did I see somewhere you said you already got tickets? I didn't think they went on sale until Saturday, Sunday, something like that.
No, there's no way he has because Ticketmaster. They're not even showing.
He had a comment up here somewhere where he said, "I already got my tickets for Cardiff." I swear I saw that.
I know he said something about Bastille. I'm going back through opening. He said I got my tickets for Cardiff, Wales.
But tickets aren't on sale yet, so maybe he knows somebody that knows somebody.
Chris, if you know somebody and you love us or love me, whoever, let me know. Or if you love Rob too.
Love Sam, because as much as I would love to go to Europe to see Oasis, I'm sure that my wife would go, "Oh, you're going to go to Europe, eh?" I don't think so.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But I don't mean to make her. She's a wonderful woman, but there's no way that I'm going to go to Europe while she's staying at home, because that's hardly fair. So.
Yeah,
Hook Sam up.
I'll say this will be Rob and I's plea to the public, because we're not below begging. If you know somebody that can get Rob and I tickets very early, hit us up in a YouTube comment, and we will give you contact information.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. So
man, This is oh, look at this. I know.
Uh-huh.
Wow, man.
Chris is really Liam Gallagher's like brother-in-law.
Chris is the man.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of hype right now. I'm sure we'll be getting stuff between now and Saturday. I mean, I've already seen my feed has blown up with,
Oh, mine too.
Rolling Stone has put up like all the times they said they were never going to get together.
Yep.
All of the stuff that's out there. I am ready for another teaser trailer or something that shows Liam and Noel sitting down talking.
Can you imagine that first phone call? I've been thinking about that as I was driving into Toronto this morning. I'm just, how did that? Did his people reach out to his people, or did Liam just call Noel and go, "Hey, man, this is stupid. Like, let's." I don't know. I can't. I mean, I don't have a sibling. I'm an only child, so I can't. I don't know what that relationship's like, but man, being famous rock stars aside, 15 years is a long time to be estranged from someone in your family. But
yeah,
I don't know. And what's the motivation? Is the motivation because they legitimately wanted to patch things up, or is the motivation, hey, let's patch things up because we can make a buttload of money?
Yeah. I mean, and again, like I remember even like seeing things like in 2017 or so where there's always like are the Gallagher brothers talking again? It's like, Liam sent Noel a text saying something about, a football match,
Right.
and like there was like a quick response. So like, I don't know that they have been completely estranged. I think there's been minor contact.
Sure.
Just from what I remember from past posts, from Rolling Stone over the last few years. And again, if this started a year ago, I mean, obviously they would have probably had to have conversations a year ago. And, Liam doing that Definitely Maybe tour is kind of like, I guess, like him testing the waters to see how much people care about the Oasis deep cuts.
Yeah.
I mean, Noel hasn't gone out there and done, a Definitely Maybe tour or, like an only Oasis show.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Noel doesn't do a lot of Oasis songs when he's playing.
No, he tries to distance himself from that.
Yeah, I mean, he'll do "Don't Look Back in Anger," and he might do like "Live Forever," or maybe "Wonderwall" occasionally, but
Half a world away.
half the world away. He'll do 5 or 6 in like a 18-track set list.
Yep.
Where Liam will do 5 or 6 songs from the newest album or the last couple albums, and then obviously he's all over "Hello," "Rock and Roll Star," "Cigarettes and Alcohol."
And I think that's because Noel is purposely trying to say that's the stuff I did in the past. Listen to my new stuff, and I get the impression, totally unsubstantiated, but I get the impression that Liam has been kind of clinging to I used to be the singer of Oasis. You know what I mean? More so that I don't think Noel really gave a shit. He appreciated the legacy that he left behind, but he left it behind. Where I think Noel or Liam was trying to cling to it, but whatever. They who cares? It's happening and it's exciting. I wonder if because it'll be the 30th anniversary next summer of What's the Story, Morning Glory. Like it's the 30th anniversary of Definitely Maybe this year. I wonder if for that tour, if they're going to do kind of like what Green did, where they're going to play Definitely Maybe in its, or sorry, What's the Story in its entirety would be incredible.
And then do the hits for the second, or like do like the hits first, then do What's the Story, then encore with a couple more hits.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that would make sense because, I mean, with What's the Story, I mean, you got like 5 or 6 just bangers on that album. I mean,
right.
Their biggest songs, She's Electric, some might say, Wonderwall, Champagne Supernova, Hello, Morning Glory, like all that stuff.
Pretty much every bloody song on the album.
Every song on the record is great. I mean, that would just make the most sense. Imagine them finishing their main set with Champagne Supernova, and like that, it's just like they lead the stage, and like that, like that water is like going over the speakers,
right?
And then they come back out and they sing like "Live Forever" or something,
right? I don't think you can have this reunion tour on the 30th anniversary without playing What's the Story in its entirety. You've got it. You have to.
Yeah. And obviously,
And then
there's going to be a box set, or there'll be another double record like there was this year, I'm sure.
Yeah. Did you order the double?
I haven't yet. No, I don't have definitely maybe yet. It keeps coming up, especially now. My algorithm is all Manchester and Oasis.
I pre-ordered off Amazon, and I ordered the 4 LP because I want the other demo sessions and stuff, because by all accounts they sound pretty different. So
yeah, it's a lot of it's a lot of Noel demos, right? It's just
well, and let me just pull this up because my memory is shitty. I guess they went to they were in the studio and tried to record the album initially and weren't happy with the sound. So then they went, I guess, to a different studio when 30th anniversary. Okay, let's see here.
Yeah, I mean, I know it was a big deal for Liam on this tour to sing "Half the World Away" as a tribute to his brother, because I mean, you don't hear Liam going out there and doing "Don't Look Back in Anger." I mean, especially after like the big Manchester tragedy that happened a few years ago. That song became like the anthem.
The anthem for sure,
and it was played everywhere. But I mean, I don't think Liam ever went out there and sang it.
So they did. I guess they tried to. They went. There's the Mono Valley sessions, which I guess was where they took a first crack at the album.
Yeah.
And then there's. So I don't know if we're going to get all of the Mono Valley sessions or if we're just going to get some of it. I haven't seen the. Here's the track listing. Hold on. Okay, so we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We get 8 songs from the Mono Valley sessions, and we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 songs from the Sawmills sessions. I guess that was another studio they were in. And then there's a demo from Maldith Road of Sad Song, which they've already released on YouTube. So I'm all for that because why not? Why not? Let's see here. The deluxe box set is pricey. I didn't think it was terribly pricey. I think it was, unless there's a deluxe box I don't know about, but I think there's only the 4 LP version. It's, let's see, what's the price here? $65 US for 4 LPs. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not pricey.
So I think up here it cost me like $90 to get it off Amazon Canada, something like that. So I don't think there's any super deluxe beyond that. But
no, and I mean it's a 30th. It's not a 50th.
Right.
So I'm sure they'll have something for the 40th. In 10 years.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I'm crazy excited. I hope they make some kind of a. Now Noel has already said it isn't going to be televised, but I got to think they got to be filming the whole thing to make some kind of documentary later on. I would.
Yeah.
Hope.
Yeah. The thing would be, the documentary would start, I'm sure, with like the two of them, like clips of them saying, like, "We're never going to do it. We're never going to do it. We're never going to do it." And then it goes black, and then it's the two of them walking into each other, and they're like, like, "You bloody wanker!" Like they're shaking hands or whatever.
I would love to see video of the first rehearsal session. Can you imagine? I'd be a fly on the wall.
I can't imagine. And then again, it makes you wonder, like, do you think whoever the band is, have they been practicing and practicing and practicing instrumentally so that they're like, we don't want to screw anything up for these guys to get mad at anybody?
Yeah.
Like there's
a lot of unknowns still. I really wish I knew who the band was.
And again, like, that's the thing. Like, how big is the band going to be? Like, are they going to go all out with like, orchestra and like, all that stuff?
Because Noel's got like 8 or 9 people on stage with him when Oasis was originally a 4 or 5 piece band.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know how many people are on stage with Liam. What's Chance saying? There's a video on the official channel of Noel in a record store. Yeah, I saw that he was being interviewed by some guy with the stupidest haircut I've ever seen.
It was like a 30-minute thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I know Noel. I mean, we're talking about what's the story. There was a video, I think for the 25th, so it would have been 5 years ago, where Noel was talking about like he went like song by song through the album, and Noel never liked how the album sounded. At least that's what he claims.
Yeah.
So can you imagine if he was like in on like the sessions to like remaster it to make it cleaner or whatever he wants, not muddy?
Yeah.
Which obviously I like it. I mean, I think it's perfect as it is.
I think it's perfect.
It's a top 10er for me.
It's a top tour for me.
Yeah.
Right behind Sgt. Pepper.
And then Blonde on Blonde's number 3.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic.
But the thing is, do we even want an opener? I mean, I can see, like, I don't think Oasis is going to go out there and do a Springsteen type show with 3 hours. I think it'll be just under 2 hours. Yeah. You know, I mean, I'm seeing Jeff Lynne in October, and he has an opener, and it's the final ELO tour. And so again, obviously they do not warrant an opener, but because their set might only be 90 minutes, you know, or they would kind of need to give the fans, you know, their money's worth.
Yeah. Blur would be an interesting opener. I think you'd probably stand a better chance with, I don't know. I don't know who else could do it, but
somebody maybe like a reformed Stone Roses or the Verve.
Yeah.
Somebody like that. I know it was interesting because, like, I mean, they obviously, like, both of the brothers bash these bigger bands. Like, you know, I know Noel, he opened for Coldplay for a few years, but could you imagine, like, the respect of, like, one of these larger groups that say, we want to open for you?
Can you imagine?
Like for example, I think it was like Chris Stapleton, you know, the country singer who can he's filling arenas. He's top of the game right now. I think he did a respectful thing. Like, he opened for somebody like George Strait or Garth Brooks, because he's like, I respect this person. I'm going to be their opener.
Well, for like on one of the last tours, Noel was the opener for U2.
Right.
And not that, I mean, it's never going to happen, but I mean, if I can make the stars align, can you imagine U2 being the opener for the Oasis reunion? Holy shit.
Yeah. Or
that would never happen in a million years, but.
Or more likely, what it would be is like they could even do like an acoustic thing where it's like just Bono and Edge, or like, you know, like Chris Martin from Coldplay comes out acoustically, you know, where it's like that's the big man from the band paying his respects. He's not going to rock your socks off, but it's just showing that there is that respect for, you know, whoever.
Yeah.
So
we're going to be on for another 15 or 20 minutes, Rob. If you want to join us, we would love to have your point of view on this. So even if you can only join us for a few minutes, that would be perfect. I'm going to send you the link.
And Rob is fresh off of his visit with Mazzy. Mazzy's been over in the UK.
Yes.
So
there you go, Rob. Links in the comments.
Yeah, the speculation. I do, again, back to what you said at the beginning. I do agree about Liam joining the High Flying Birds. It does seem kind of weird. I am more than okay with like High Flying Birds members being there.
Sure.
And then Liam's guys being there too.
It goes to your point of like what the Beach Boys did, where they kind of blended the two bands. That would seem more genuine, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I think so too. And did you say you saw Noel, didn't you?
No, I haven't. I'd like to, but
so you haven't seen either.
Hey, Rob, how you doing?
Hey, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
Thanks for joining us, man.
Hey, Rob.
I mean, what's the buzz like in Manchester? I mean, you guys got to be like going out of your minds over there.
Well, I've been in London. I've just got back, so I visited. I saw Mazzy in London, so
I saw that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, there was a big meetup. So, but I was on Abbey Road yesterday.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'd never been before, and Mazzy's like, "Oh, I'm going to go." So I said, "Yeah, go on then. You've got to go, haven't you?" So, and look what I bought at Abbey Road. I bought I bought that.
There you go. Of course.
Oh, funny. Because I can remember buying it probably 2 or 3 weeks after it came out. And I was going in work and saying, you got to listen to Oasis. The album's just great. And I have seen them live. Have you seen them, Rob? I can't remember.
No, I missed them a couple times when they came to Toronto back in the 90s. And I always said, I'll get them next time. And then
Hang on. Do you want to see this big picture I've got in my house? Just
please, yeah.
Rob's just coming here to make us drool.
There you go. That's awesome.
That would be a good reenactment for like the tour posters.
Yeah, it could be, couldn't it? So
yeah.
So I mean, this was always going to happen at some point. I don't know whether you kind of came to that conclusion as well, Rob.
Well, my thought was always somebody's gonna throw enough money at it at some point in time that Noel's gonna go, fuck it, fine, let's do it. So as I was saying to Sam earlier, I wonder, is the motivation this time that they genuinely wanted to patch things up, or that the time was right and they said, yeah, I want to do a reunion, or was the motivation we can make a buttload of money if we can behave ourselves? I don't know.
I'd like to think it's the former. You know,
Me too.
I'd like to think it's about the music. I think one interesting thing is that when Oasis split, I always thought Noel's going to be the big hitter and Liam's going to be in his slipstream. But actually, over the last 5 years, Liam's really come to the fore, hasn't he? And he's kind of on a path. So I think that's important that Liam feels as though he's made a point. He's actually can be as successful as Noel.
Well, and I think I started saying this to Sam earlier on too, is that I was not a fan of the BDI stuff, and I liked the first 2 High Flying Birds albums, and I always liked Noel better. I thought he was the talent in the band. Yeah. Not that Liam didn't have talent. No. Without Noel, there wouldn't have been an Oasis. And then Noel kind of went into this kind of like electronic crap that doesn't interest me at all. And then Liam started to put out some banger albums. Like Why Me, Why Not was incredible.
I know
it flipped. It flipped. Liam ended up being I thought, the better and the more entertaining of the two.
Yeah. I don't know I think maybe Noel didn't want to just be churning out the same kind of thing. So I always kind of respect an artist when they kind of push the boundaries a little bit. It might not always work. Right. Most major artists have done that, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
But then they always tend to go back to form, don't they, if you like? So, I mean, they're playing Wembley on my birthday, so that'd be a nice one to go to, wouldn't it?
So you're going to try and get tickets, I assume.
Yeah, I'll get a ticket.
Nice.
Yeah. They're playing quite a lot of dates, aren't they? So
yeah, they're
talking about £100 plus, but I mean that's standard, isn't it, for a ticket? So
yeah. I mean, I saw McCartney back. The last time I saw McCartney was 2021. No, it was 2022. At one of the college football stadiums. There's probably 30,000, 40,000 people there. My sister and I went. We were in the very back. For McCartney, nosebleeds were 150.
Yeah.
With fees. So I can only imagine it's close to that for the nosebleeds.
They'll make a killing on the merchandise as well. I'm sure Rob's already been in his drawer getting all these Oasis t-shirts out.
No, unfortunately, most of my Oasis t-shirts don't fit anymore because I was a wee bit smaller 30 years ago than I am now. But
there's a lot of stuff on social media, like little TikToks about guys saying, are Oasis getting back together? So they're talking with the wife. Oh, yeah, I might try and get a ticket. And they're like talking to the mates saying, I'm going to go to every one. And they're trying the T-shirts on and they're a bit. I think there's a lot of that going on. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
so that's good, though, because everyone will have to buy another T-shirt a couple of sizes bigger, maybe.
They're going to make a killing. I'm thrilled. I said to Sam last night, I said, this band is so important to me, other than the Beatles.
Yeah.
because this was the first band that I discovered myself as a
it's big,
teenager back in the 90s.
Yeah.
This band means everything to me. And I said to Sam, this is the biggest musical announcement to happen to me in my lifetime. And I'm just
So
beyond excited.
So what are you going to do, Rob? Are you going to see whether they're going to play over there, or are you going to?
Well, there's rumors that listen, I'm not going to be able to swing going to England. I would love to, because I love England. I've been before.
Right.
My family's from England 250 years ago, but I would love to go. But if I said to the wife, if I said, "Hey, hon, I'm going to go see Oasis, and that's going to involve me going to Europe," that's going to go over like a turn to punch bowl.
You know that long list of jobs that she's been asking you to do.
Right.
Maybe make a start on them, and then maybe, you never know. You know, she might.
You never know. I don't think that would go over too well, because she would want to come too, and I would want her to come.
Yeah.
I can't afford sending all three of us. I can't even afford to send myself over. Let's be honest. So I'm holding out hope. There's rumors that they're going to play potentially a date in Toronto and New York and LA and whatever. I hope they play Toronto, because it's only 45 minutes away from me. So I'm really hoping.
Yeah. I find it difficult to believe that they're going to go through all the trouble, and they want to get a really tight crew together. And this crew could be together for 9 to 12 months, going all around the world, couldn't they? I doubt they're going to do 14 nights and then just hang the coats up and then go back to the high-flying birds. I heard you speaking before. My signal was cutting out on the train. You were saying you'd love them to maybe go in the studio. I wouldn't say that's out of the question.
Yeah, I mean, that would be... But then again, that was lightning in a bottle 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Can you replicate? I mean, not that you want to replicate it. You want to evolve that. But can they make an Oasis record again? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
I would say, so Rob, are you looking to do just a one-off show, or are you thinking a couple nights?
Yeah, well, I'll be looking at maybe going to Wembley, and then probably going, because I saw them at Heaton Park, you know, where they're doing a lot of the dates. That's where I saw them in 2009. So they did about 4 nights in 2009, and I don't know if you know Kasabian. They supported them, and a band called The Enemy. It'll be interesting to see who supports, because you know I'm a big Paul Weller fan.
Oh, that would be good too.
And Paul is a neighbour of Noel. He goes around to his house. They go around to each other's houses nearly on a daily basis. You know, they're really good friends. I'd be surprised if Paul Weller doesn't get involved somewhere along the line, whether he comes on as a guest maybe, or whether he's supporting. Blur certainly won't be.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know if you're aware of like bands like Ocean Colour Scene, maybe Richard Ashcroft from The Verve. I think it will be. It'll turn into. There'll certainly be at least 3 decent support acts. If you play in Wembley, you're going to get in there relatively early. It's going to be all day, isn't it? You know, it's going to be great. Yeah. So to answer your question, Sam, I've been looking to go to more. I certainly want to see him at Wembley. That's one that I want to go to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you have to.
Oh man.
Morton's bringing up a question Sam and I were debating earlier. Is it just going to be Liam and Noel with Noel's band, or with a band they put together? Is it going to be? Are we going to see Bonehead? Are we going to see Guigsy? I mean, who knows?
Well, Andy Bell was playing with them, wasn't he? On I know Bonehead's had health issues, hasn't he?
Oh, has he? I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's been health issues, so that maybe again you could be talking about sort of guest. I'd be surprised if Andy Bell, is it Jem Archer, was it as well?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So unless they've had some kind of issue, but like you say, I don't think they're going to use Noel's band, and I don't think they're going to use Liam's band. So it makes sense that it's going to be as close to the original Oasis. That's what fans want to see, isn't it?
Well, and that's what I was saying, because I had read somewhere that it was just going to be the High Flying Birds backing them and calling themselves Oasis. And they said to Sam, if that rumor's true, to me that cheapens it a little bit.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if that's
Yeah.
the case. Like I say, I'm a little bit out of the loop because I've been in London. I've literally walked through the door and come on, you know. So
Well, I'm glad you joined us, Rob, because
The priorities are correct. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, see, the thing would be is that, you know, again, in terms of sound, Liam's current band is more in line with the Oasis sound. I mean, the High Flying Birds can do it because they've done it.
Yeah.
And they've always acted as like a rotating cast of characters as it is, isn't it? And that's kind of what Noel's vision was.
Yeah. On his last album, though, was that the only time where he's actually mentioned the High Flying Birds? It's more of a band. So they're going to be thinking, oh, no. Oasis have got back together again. What are we going to do?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But, yeah. Like you say, I'd be surprised if Andy Bell and you know, the other guy aren't involved. It was Starkey as well, wasn't it? Zach Starkey.
He played on Don't Believe the Truth.
I can see Zach doing it. I can see Zach doing it.
Andy White was it Andy White?
Yeah.
Because like the Who, I mean, Roger and Pete don't have anything lined up right now with the Who, which is where Zach has been for, you know, the last 15 years or so.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good look to have Zach, because that could be a draw as well. That Zach Stark is there with them.
They might get Ringo, eh? What do you think of that? Rob would definitely be going.
Oh man.
Yeah, Rob would have a coronary if Ringo opened some.
Shit, if that's the case, I'd get in a rowboat and I'd row myself to England.
Yeah. But it's nice, isn't it? Because we just love talking about this. Is the sort of thing that you kind of dream of in a way, isn't it? So
it's been a fantasy. It's really been a fantasy.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned to Rob at the top of the show, I mean, it's always like the talk of the VC, like, you know, what are your musical, you know, hopes for the new year? It's always, you know, the Kinks get back together. Maybe Oasis will get back together. And now one of those things is happening after 15 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it still seems like a dream. I mean, I know Rob and I were talking last night. Rob is a night owl, so Rob was already awake when
I stayed up till 3 a.m. because I figured that's what it was going to be, but I needed the confirmation. So
I set my alarm
refresh on my phone.
I set my alarm for 3, and I remember like the alarm going off a few different times, and I was thinking like, why is my alarm going off? And then I remembered. I said, oh yeah, I did that on purpose, and it was 3:15, and I looked, and Rob had all these messages like, "Do you see this?"
Bombarded Sam at 3 a.m.
I'm like, block Rob.
How long have you been into Oasis then, Sam? Is it relatively?
I would say, well, see, I first heard Wonderwall when I was probably about 19, which would have been 11 years ago. I'm 30 now. So, I mean, I know I really got into, you know, Morning Glory probably a couple of years after that. So a little less than 10 years, but I mean, you know, just since that, I mean, Morning Glory in particular, obviously, you know, fed into what I was liking at the time. And again, it rose the ranks to become number 9 on my top 10 favorite albums of all time that I did a couple of years ago. But then, you know, more recently, you know, started getting into, Definitely Maybe and all that stuff. And then listening to the Liam stuff and then hearing those live records again on the Timbs and the MTV Unplugged.
Yeah.
Hearing those other cuts that I didn't know and going back to it, that it all wove its way into it. So it's been kind of a gradual process. It's been a neat process. And, you know, I haven't really followed Noel at all with his music because it's just not I'm just not a fan of the style of it.
It'll be interesting, won't it, to see, you know, when you see the audience. I'm sure there will be people who weren't even alive when, well, maybe not. They might have been very young when Oasis kind of split up. There is going to be like the old sad people like myself and, you know, get with the Parkers on and, you know, but I think there will be kind of a new generation as well, which is nice.
Well, I mean, even the clips that I've seen from Liam's last show, I mean, I saw kids up on, you know, shoulders that were 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
And knowing all the words to the deep cuts from Definitely Maybe. So
that's good, isn't it, when that happens?
Oh, and that's what we were talking about when that graphic came on the screen after Liam finished up. Just the audience was it was more quiet than I thought when I saw the cell phone clips. That there wasn't like this just like scream of hysteria. That it was like what is this? What are we looking at? What are these? What's this font? This is Oasis font.
When I was in London, I picked up this T-shirt, Sister Ray Records. So Sister Ray Records is on Berwick Street, where What's the Story, Morning Glory. You know the album cover.
Oh, the cover.
Sister Ray Records is there. So
that's awesome.
I picked up the T-shirt yesterday. Yeah, I was walking down there with Mazzy yesterday.
That's awesome. And again, another idea for a great tour poster would be, I mean, I know that's not, them on the cover, but
it was supposed to be
to have the two brothers on that spot for the tour.
Yeah.
Like that would be some merch.
I did a video about this like a year and a half ago. The story behind this cover. It was supposed to be them, but they were both hungover from the night before.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So the guy that's walking towards us, I can't remember his name, but he's a radio DJ.
Yeah.
The guy with his back to us is Brian Carroll, the guy from Microdot that does all of the artwork for all of the covers. Right. It was supposed to be Liam and Noel, but it's not. So.
You're going to have, hey, Rob, I can see you resurrecting a few more kind of Oasis videos in the pipeline. I bet you've got the wheels turning.
Oh, boy, are they ever. I don't want to saturate.
I haven't got any ideas for videos,
I got a few kind of floating around in my head because, like I said, this band to me was so massively important when I was a teenager. I remember when What's the Story came out. That was an incredible summer. I think I was maybe 15, 16, something like that. And there's a lot of memories associated with that album. And it's
here's a fantasy moment again, because it would work. I think I just froze. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you.
Yeah.
My internet's been going in and out, but just imagine them doing "Don't Look Back in Anger," but then they trade verses where it's like it works for like the two of them are back together, not looking back in anger. Again, just one of those like neat like live moments where they could both be singing that, and then they both come in on the chorus together. Because like it was usually that was Noel's moment, and Liam kind of sat on the drum riser.
I just think about when we get to that point where they're playing Wembley, and they start doing that song. The whole crowd is going to sing that, and I can just picture them not even singing, just the whole. You hear tens of thousands of voices singing that song. That's got to be magical.
I can remember when you started your channel, Rob, you were pretty quick to sort of share your love of Oasis. So I kind of, because I wasn't expecting it, when you started your channel and you were talking, because you were talking about the Beatles, and then pretty quickly you were onto Oasis. So I kind of, obviously I was like, I love that, coming from like man. I mean, I'm an Oasis fan. I'm not like a super fan of Oasis.
I'm super fan for sure.
Yeah, you're super fan. I've got all the CDs. I've only got on vinyl. I've only got that one and Standing in the Shadows.
Yeah,
Shoulders of Giants. Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that's a pretty underrated album. What do you think of that one?
I like it. it. To me, it was kind of the last of the good albums, and it's not the right choice of words. But after that, I was not a fan of Heathen Chemistry. Don't Believe the Truth. I liked Digging Out Your Soul. I can't stand it. But Day on Shoulders of Giants had some great songs in it, and to me, that was kind of like the last of the really, really good albums. I've got everything that they put out. Yeah. But what my desire is I have first reissues of the original albums.
Right.
I really want original first. I have an original first pressing of Be Here Now, but I would really. I'm trying to find definitely maybe What's the Story Morning. You can get them; they're on eBay, but I don't want
to. They're good price now, aren't they? Yeah,
$400 or whatever. So now, of course, they're going to go through the roof. So I'm never going to find them. But
again, in terms of like thinking like what they might open with, would it be in bad taste if they opened with "I Am the Walrus"?
No, they'll open with "Fucking in the Bushes."
Yeah.
Oh, you think? No.
Yeah, that's kind of their standard opener.
Yeah, that's the chaotic beginning when they can all walk on at their own time, and it's a bit, like I could see. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
I think the perfect opener would be. Do you know what I mean? I think that would be a great.
This is so gonna be like a live stream in a couple of days, isn't it? That's the thing, because I do watch you talking occasionally, when you do, but you're always. I'm not able to join because it's I'm asleep. So
yeah,
sure.
An opportunity that you've just been able to come on, so I can join in a little bit, but I can see you doing a video on what would be your perfect set list. Look at Rob, yeah, it's a good one.
There's a notepad on my desk that may have some notes on it already, Rob.
I can see that. I would imagine it'd be pretty heavy on the first 2 albums, wouldn't it? Really?
I mean, I think it would have to be, right, because
it's been
that's what they're known for.
Yeah, they go into a lot of really, really deep cuts. I mean, the Master Plan. Would you consider that one of the best albums? I mean, it's a great album, isn't it? Just off cuts, really.
And see, the thing is, Rob, do you think, with it being the Morning Glory 30th, do you think they would open with some hits, do a second set of Morning Glory, and then come out and do a few more hits? Like, because if that's the case, they couldn't open with Hello, because like that's been Liam's kind of standard opener recently, or Rock and Roll Star. I mean, he's opened with that a few times.
Yeah, they'll do. I think they got to do like hits, and then I think they've got to do What's the Story in its entirety next year because it's the 30th anniversary. And what do you cut off of What's the Story?
Greedy. He's getting greedy now, isn't he, Rob? He wants like.
Oh yeah, it's like we want more. We haven't even had the first taste yet.
I know. Yeah. I'm like a kid at Christmas. I can't.
Yeah. Tomorrow they will announce that they've cancelled it because there's too much pressure.
Yeah, exactly. Or they're fighting again. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, listen, guys. Unfortunately, I would love to talk about this all day, but I do have to get back to work. Thank you, Rob, for joining us.
Thank you.
I was kind of secretly hoping that you'd be watching and maybe would join us. Yeah. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
It's nice to go live with you. I've never done it before. So
yeah, awesome.
And thank you, Sam.
Oh yeah.
You and I have been talking about the potential of this forever and ever, and especially over the last weekend. So it's exciting. We'll see what happens over the coming weeks as more information comes out. So
absolutely.
Okay. Thanks everybody. For those that don't know, Rob Walker, Let the Music Play, Sam St. John, check them both out. I'll be back Wednesday night, tomorrow night at 8 p.m. for the live chat, which Sam is no longer joining us anymore. Sam was retired from the live stream, so there will be there'll be a different cast of characters tomorrow. So hope everyone will join us for that. So thank you, gentlemen, and thanks everyone for watching. Have a great day, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.